This Solar Hunter build is all about taking down any enemy with a single throwing knife. Our throwing knife can hit for around 300k damage, and we can throw as many as we want. So as long as you understand the build and play the build correctly, then you're gonna have some insane damage coming from just your throwing knives alone that can one-shot champions. And in this video, I'm going to show you guys how we can accomplish that. Bungie has slowly been nerfing various playstyles and builds that allow us to one-shot enemies, with the 1-2 punch nerf and more recently the glaive and synthoceps nerf. This has left us with less and less builds that have that power fantasy to deal massive damage instantly with a single ability. But Solar Hunters are rising to fill that role and deliver on that power fantasy. And that's one-shotting a champion even when we're 15 power level below the recommended power level. So in something like the Battlegrounds activities this season, you will be able to destroy those champions with a single knife and be able to throw as many as your heart desires. If you want to see the full written version of this build in one easy place, then the link will be down below where you can find it over on Mobalytics along with all my build videos. This entire build's focus is on the weighted throwing knife, which is our melee ability and it brings a lot to the table. This weighted knife deals extra precision damage, which will play into our insane damage we get from it. It also will cause any scorched target to ignite instantly. So any weapons with incandescent are very strong with this because just a simple kill that might tag a nearby enemy with the scorch damage will allow us to throw our knife and hit that enemy to cause a instant ignition. So if you're running with fire team members that may be on solar subclass as well, you can also play off their scorching abilities, which is really nice with this overall build. And finally, precision final blows with the weighted knife instantly refills our class ability. Since we can get some crazy damage with the knife, that just means we have an instant class ability charge if we need it. Now we're going to pair this with Gambler's Dodge. So now we have a way to instantly recharge our melee when dodging near an enemy, and our melee instantly recharges our dodge with a precision final blow. So a great loop between just those two abilities alone. Add in incandescent and scorching an enemy and your knife now causes a ignition. Now in harder content, I like the healing grenade because you can chain melee kills very easily with this build and we can keep the restoration from our healing grenade up all the time thanks to a fragment that we're going to be using. But if you're doing easier content like the Battlegrounds, then the thermite grenade is a great choice. It got a 20% damage buff in Lightfall, and since it has such a far reach where it can possibly scorch multiple targets, that means our weighted knife has that many more ignition options just by hitting one of these scorched targets. Our first aspect is knock them down, and this is used so we can get our knife back on melee kills while we're radiant. Melee kills will refund our melee ability, and we have such a strong melee that this is a must pick. And we're always going to be radiant with this build, so every kill you get with that throwing knife is just going to refund it so we can throw it as many times as we want. It also enhances our blade barrage a bit, which is really nice. Our second aspect is on your mark. Precision final blows grant you and nearby allies increased weapon handling and reload speed for a short duration, and this stacks 3 times. And then activating your class ability immediately grants maximum stacks of on your mark. This is used primarily to get the 3 fragment slots that we're going to be using, but it is nice to have that extra reload speed on certain weapons that we're going to use to freeze targets with. For your mods on the build, we're going to take Ember of Torches. Powered melee attacks against combatants make you and nearby allies radiant. This loops into knock them down and gets us that melee back instantly when we kill something because we're always going to be radiant. And then we're going to use Ember of Empyrean. Solar weapon or ability final blows extend the duration of restoration and radiant effects applied to you. So that healing grenade that's giving us restoration and our fragment that's making us radiant will always be up as long as we're getting solar weapon kills or knife final blows. Next, we're going to take Ember of Singeing. Your class ability recharges faster when you scorch targets. This is just another way to get that class ability back just in case we need a dodge to get our melee back for whatever reason. Next, we're going to take Ember of Mercy. Picking up a fire sprite grants restoration, so another way that we can heal in the thick of battle. And then also when you revive an ally, we get restoration and so do they, which is very nice. And then Ember of Singeing as our last fragment. Defeating scorched targets grants melee energy and creates a fire sprite. So everything we're doing with this build is just feeding back into that melee. Our exotic we're going to be using is Arthur's Embrace. This has the exotic perk called Skittering Stinger. Weighted knife gains a second bounce so it can bounce off walls, and then rapid precision hits with your weapons grant weighted knife a significant damage bonus and the ability to stun unshielded combatants for a short time. So it can stun unstoppable champions for us, and we only need to land 3 or 4 precision hits with our weapon to proc the Skittering Stinger. And our strengthened throwing knife here deals 200% increased damage and stuns unstoppable champions for us. This is where we get some crazy damage with our throwing knife. Also, our buff for our throwing knife can last up to 30 seconds the more precision hits we land, so you have plenty of time to line up your target and land that precision throwing knife. Now for your weapons, you want to pair this with anything that can freeze a target. So chill clip is really nice on any fusion rifles, and then another solid option is conditional finality from the new raid. Because that first shot freezes a target, we actually get about a 50% damage increase to our throwing knife on a frozen target. So that's how you can push the damage up even further to one-shot enemies. Plus you're freezing targets, so you're making them immobile and just making it easier to hit your target, which is really nice. For the mods on the build, on your helmet, you're going to take whatever siphon mod matches your subclass, so you can make orbs of power when you get those double kills with your weapon. We're also going to take dynamo so we can dodge near enemies and reduce our super cooldown. And we're going to be dodging near enemies to get our melee back anyways. And remember, this is a 15-meter reach, so you don't have to be that close for this to proc. We're also going to take hands-on, gain bonus super energy on melee kills. And then in our gauntlets, we're going to take grenade kickstart so we can just feed that healing grenade or whatever grenade you might be using back quickly. Next, we're going to take impact induction, causing damage with a melee attack reduces your grenade cooldown. We're always throwing those throwing knives, so we're always going to be feeding impact induction. We're also going to take heavy handed, your powered melee final blows create an orb of power, and you're going to be getting a ton of those. On your chest piece, it's all damage reduction, so harmonic resistance, solar resistance, concussive dampener, whatever activity you're playing, you take those resistance mods. On the boots, we're going to take Innervation, reduce grenade cooldown each time you pick up an orb of power, Installation, reduce class ability cooldown each time you pick up an orb of power, and Absolution, reduce all ability cooldowns when picking up an orb of power. Normally I run healing in this slot, so 2 of these would be the 2 mods that heal you on orb pickup, but since I am running healing grenade and restoration and I'm keeping that up, I don't need healing on my boots. And then on our class item, we're going to take Reaper, so after you dodge, your next weapon kill is going to create Orb of Power, so just another way to get those Orbs of Power. We're also going to take Bomber, reduce grenade cooldown when using your class ability, and we're going to take Special Finisher. Finishers generate special ammo for the whole fire team, and that consumes 3 stacks of your charges. That way, whatever freezing weapon I'm using, I can make sure I have ammo in it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. Give the one-shot knife a try in any content that you're dealing with champions, and it's a really fun way to play the Solar Hunter, and a little bit different than just your overall ability spam. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a great rest of your day.